basically exploitation of the lack of economic understanding of the American voter. Okay? And basically the Cadillac tax is put in, and basically that's going to help control healthcare costs because it's going to end this excessive subsidy to the most expensive health insurance plans. And over time it's going to apply to more and more health insurance plans.
Well, that was the third piece of tape, third clip from MIT economics professor Jonathan Gruber talking about Obamacare. He said this week that he was sorry for those remarks, the first ones on tape. He said they were off the cuff, and he regretted making those comments, but there was a pattern here.
So we'll have what we call a Cadillac tax, which is any insurance plan that costs more than $23,000 a year. We'll have a tax on it. Now, you and I know, the economists know, that that'll just get passed on to the price of insurance, offset the tax break you get. But it'll have the same effect, and the economists will like it. Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to get anything to pass.
Well, you have Capitol Hill weighing in, you have Howard Dean weighing in. We're back with the panel. Jason, what about this?
I thank him for his honesty. Right. I mean, here you have the head of the Obamacare brain trust basically telling us that the president's signature piece of legislation is based on deceit and lies. And I thank him for his honesty. A lot of us on the political right knew this all along, but it's nice to hear it coming from Gruber and company.
Fox poll about Obamacare, first about whether it's good for the country, bad for the country, split 52% bad for the country, good for the country 40%. And did the Obama administration misrepresent effects of health care law to get it passed? 55% of registered voters said yes. Juan, this seems like a bit of an issue ahead of another round of Obamacare.
Well, the big issue here is it creates anxiety, uncertainty about the law. And I think puts a bad varnish on it. As Jason said, I think it's a gift to the critics of Obamacare because, it's all sausage making. And this is very unpleasant. But the fact is everything gets marketed from soap to, ball games. We all market. And there's a lot of spin in Washington when it comes to legislation. People can look back at, how much, is it the case that the Iraqi oil reserves are going to pay for the cost of war, or look back to the prescription drug. I think it is spin. But I would say this. I can't believe that he's talked about the stupidity of the American voter. I think that's inexcusable. That's rude.
This is very representative of the left's mindset. Their moral superiority. They're not only morally superior, they're also more intelligent. And they need to explain things to us yokels out there in flyover country. And we can't think for ourselves. We can't choose our health care for ourselves. We can't choose our doctors for ourselves. We need elites telling us how to do these things.
Well,
and that's what,
I think there's a different point to be made. I think there's a different point to be made, which is that some people actually think that it's lowered the number of people who lack insurance in this country, which is
the law overall.
Yeah.
We should point out that we first reported on Professor Gruber in the context of the Halbig case, which is now the lawsuit that went through federal court. Now it's heading to the U.S. Supreme Court, in which, Charles, he said, it's important to remember that if you're a state and you don't set up an exchange, that means your citizens don't get tax credits, and that's how this was set up. But your citizens still pay taxes to support the bill. Well, that's how this whole lawsuit is hinged, is that it was set up that way.
And that is exactly the case of the plaintiffs. If it is upheld, it will mean the collapse of Obamacare. Gruber has now admitted that the critics' reading of the law, the plain meaning of the law, and the intent of the law is the same. You only get a subsidy if you're on a state exchange, not on the federal exchange. So it's extremely damaging. But Juan, this isn't a gift to the critics. This is a vindication of the critics. This isn't spin. This is open and admitted deception. These are lies that were told, and he explains every one of the lies that was told. And the central lie was this. It was Obama saying to the country, we're doing this to help the needy. It's a nice, sweet thing. But anybody who is not in need will be left unmolested. You will not have to pay more. You're not going to have a plan canceled. And what Gruber is telling us, they knew in advance it was a huge transfer of wealth for those who already have health insurance to those who didn't. And this was concealed because, as he said, if it was known, the law would never have passed.
And we should point out that the administration lifted up Gruber before all of this came.